You think you know your family until you catch them tearing open your safe, hiding the evidence, and lying straight to your face. $12,000. That's how much I saved cleaning strangers' homes while my mom and sister laughed behind my back and stole every penny. But I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I planned something they'd never see coming. And I exposed them in front of everyone. I always knew my family saw me as the quiet one. I was the youngest, the afterthought, the one who cleaned up messes without being asked and stayed out of trouble because there was never room for me to make any. I worked part-time, cleaned houses on weekends, and put every dollar toward my college tuition, rent, and groceries. I didn't party, I didn't complain, I didn't ask for help, I survived. But in our house, silence was mistaken for weakness. And in this family, weakness was prey. My name is Maya. I'm 21. I live with my mom, Lorraine, and my older sister, Simone. We share a small, suffocating house in the outskirts of Baltimore. And while I struggle to afford textbooks, they seem to live in a parallel universe made of Amazon packages, designer purses, and spontaneous spa days. It always confused me. My mom's a nurse supervisor. Simone works in a tech firm. Both of them make way more money than I do. But they're constantly broke, always between paychecks, always blaming bills, or inflation, or just needing a break. I kept my distance. I thought that would be enough, until the first time they stole from me. It was just over $300. I'd been saving it in my closet to help cover summer classes. One day it was gone, vanished. At first I thought I misplaced it. Maybe I'd miscounted. I told myself it didn't matter. Then it happened again, over $500 missing after a cleaning gig paid me in cash. I confronted them, quietly, carefully. I was met with tears and guilt trips. My mom said she just borrowed it and forgot to tell me. Simone swore she didn't touch anything. They acted like I was crazy for even asking. I forgave them. I wish I hadn't. But I did. Still, I learned. I didn't trust words after that. I trusted patterns. So I bought a disguised safe, a hollowed-out book I could slide into my shelf, unnoticeable among my school supplies. I marked each bill, bent the corners of the 20s, photographed serial numbers, created my own system. It felt paranoid, but it worked. For almost a year, I kept my money hidden. Every shift, every weekend cleaning someone else's mess, it added up. $12,000 in total. $12,000 of sweat, exhaustion, and dignity. I thought I had outsmarted them until the day I came home from class and everything unraveled. I still remember the first time I caught Simone lying to my face. It was a Friday night, and I had just gotten back from a 6-hour shift cleaning a townhouse in Mount Vernon. My back ached, my hands were raw from scrubbing tiles, and all I wanted was to shower and crash. But something felt off the moment I stepped inside. Simone was in the kitchen, laughing with my mom like nothing was wrong. She had just picked up a new handbag, sleek, black, with gold trim, a brand I knew cost more than my monthly rent. She smiled like everything was normal. That night, I went upstairs and checked the small envelope of cash I kept behind my books. I was short by $320. I didn't say anything right away. I sat in bed for nearly 2 hours, listening to their laughter echo through the floorboards while I stared at the ceiling. Eventually, I asked. I walked downstairs and said, in the calmest voice I could find, "Did either of you take money from my room?" Simone blinked. "What? No," my mom was more rehearsed. "You probably misplaced it, Maya. You're always so busy." That's when I saw it. The tiniest twitch in Simone's jaw. The flicker of panic behind her mascara. I knew. I just knew. But I let it go. I convinced myself it was easier to forgive than to fight a losing battle. I told myself they were family, that maybe they were just struggling, that it was a one-time thing. Except it wasn't. It happened again, 2 months later, another $500 gone. That time I didn't even ask. I just watched, quietly. Watched Simone get her nails done the next day. Watched her post a picture of sushi takeout and cocktails with the caption, "Treat yourself." Watched my mom pretend nothing had changed while she clicked through TV channels, never once noticing the tension in my silence. That's when I knew who I was dealing with. They weren't desperate, they were entitled. They believed that because I lived under their roof, my money was theirs. My work, mine. My sacrifices, invisible. My boundaries, optional. So I made a decision. I bought the safe, bent every bill, photographed every detail, created a system only I could understand. And I never said a word. I kept working, kept saving, kept pretending I didn't notice how they looked at me when they thought I wasn't watching. Like I was just a walking ATM too dumb to lock the vault. What they didn't know was I wasn't just saving money. I was saving proof. It was a Tuesday. Hot, thick, late summer air clung to me as I dragged myself off the bus and walked the last few blocks home. My shoulders ached from carrying my backpack and my cleaning supplies. I'd squeezed in a job before class that morning, and I was running on less than 4 hours of sleep. When I finally walked through the front door, I could hear voices out back. Simone, my mom, and our cousin Tasha. They were laughing, the kind of laughter that stings when you're too tired to even smile. I stepped into the kitchen to wash my hands. That's when I saw it. Tasha, who never came by without drama in her wake, was walking past the sliding door into the backyard, holding a cardboard flat from a ginger ale case. I recognized it immediately. I'd used that exact box to hide my safe in the back of my closet. A chill went down my spine. She didn't look at me. She just kept walking, like she had something to hide. And my mom and Simone were already outside, waiting. I didn't follow them. I didn't say a word. I went straight upstairs, my heart thudding harder with every step. I opened my closet. The books looked undisturbed, neat, untouched, but when I pulled them back, my heart dropped. The safe was gone. I stared for what felt like minutes. Time slowed, my ears rang. Then came the waves, panic, rage, betrayal. $12,000, gone. I tore through my room. Nothing else was missing. Not my laptop, not my watch, just the safe, just the thing that mattered most. I ran downstairs and scanned the house like a bloodhound. My fingers were shaking. I didn't want to believe what my gut was screaming, that they had done it again, but this time they'd taken everything. In the garage, buried beneath a stack of flattened boxes and old cushions, I found it. The safe, busted open. The metal was twisted, almost split down the middle. The lock had been broken with force, maybe a crowbar or hammer, and someone had tried to cover it with that ginger ale cardboard, as if that would erase the evidence. I stared at it for a long time, not just because I was shocked, but because I wasn't. Somewhere deep down, I knew this would happen. The moment I outsmarted them, the clock started ticking. It was only a matter of time. But what they didn't realize, what they would never see coming, was that this time I hadn't just hidden my money. I'd laid a trap. I went back upstairs and locked my door. Then, like I was clocking in for another shift, I opened my phone, pulled up my photo library, and started going through every image I'd cataloged over the past year. Stacks of bills with bent corners, serial numbers circled, even the interior of the safe before I ever used it. Then I opened Simone's wallet. She left it on the kitchen counter like she owned the place. I flipped it open and nearly laughed out loud. The cash inside still had the bent corners. I took pictures of each one. Then I opened my mom's purse. More bills, bent the same way. I knew every mark like a signature. That night, I didn't cry. I didn't scream. I planned. They thought they'd taken something from me. But I still had something more valuable than money. I had proof. Simone always liked to act untouchable. Even when we were kids, she carried herself like she had secrets that made her better than everyone else. She wasn't the type to ask for help. She took what she wanted and laughed when people called her out. Somehow my mom always made excuses for her. "She's just strong-willed," she'd say. "She's figuring things out." No one ever noticed how cruel she could be when she thought no one was watching. But this time, I was watching. I waited until everyone went to sleep that night. My mom was snoring in her room, and Simone's bedroom door was shut with music leaking through her headphones. I moved quickly, first to the kitchen counter, where Simone had dropped her wallet earlier, still carelessly zipped halfway open. My hands didn't shake this time. I opened it like I'd done it 100 times before, because I had. But this time I wasn't hoping to find something. I knew I would. The first $20 bill I pulled out had a perfect, deliberate bend in the upper right corner. Then another, then a 50. The folds were identical, sharp, clean, mine. I took out my phone and snapped each one, front and back. Serial numbers, bends, even how the bills were positioned in her wallet. Casual, like stolen money, could breathe easier if it was mixed in with loose change and gas receipts. I didn't stop there. I opened my mom's purse, her Sunday purse, she called it. A big leather bag with faded handles and a squeaky zipper. Inside were more bills. I knew them before I touched them. Bent corners. $12,000 doesn't vanish in one day. That money had been siphoned, slowly, quietly, behind my back, one weekend shift at a time. And they had the audacity to think I wouldn't notice. They were bold, but they were sloppy. And now I had a record, timestamps, video, photos, a broken safe, and stolen bills in their possession. Simone may have gotten away with stealing before, but she was about to learn something she never expected from me. That I could be just as strategic as her, maybe even more. The next morning I called out of work. I needed time. Time to print my photos. Time to write down dates and values. Time to think about how to end this in a way they'd never forget. Not just a confrontation, but a statement. This wasn't going to be another quiet accusation, followed by fake apologies and crocodile tears. This time, I wouldn't knock on their door. This time, I'd bring the truth to theirs. And I wouldn't come alone. There's a kind of silence that doesn't feel peaceful. It's heavy, electric, like the pause before a storm, not calm, but loaded. That's what it felt like the week leading up to the family dinner. I didn't speak to Simone or my mom unless I had to. They were clueless. I watched them float around the house like nothing had happened. Laughing, watching reality shows, sharing TikToks, pretending not to notice the lock I had added to my bedroom door. They thought I was sulking. They had no idea I was staging a reveal. I'd heard about the dinner from my aunt. a big gathering at her house for my uncle's birthday. Most of our extended family would be there. Aunts, uncles, cousins, even a few family friends. It was perfect. I spent days preparing, not just emotionally, but logistically. I put everything together like a case file, photos printed, dates labeled, serial numbers matched. I even recorded a video of me comparing my documentation to the money I found in their wallets. Then I took the broken safe, wrapped it in a towel, and placed it gently in my backpack. I carried that bag like it was sacred, because to me it was. It was everything they said I didn't have: power, proof, voice. On the day of the dinner, I dressed simply. Neutral tones, nothing flashy. I didn't want to stand out too early. I greeted everyone warmly, smiled at my cousins, hugged my aunt. Simone and my mom arrived later. Tasha came with them. I watched them from across the room. They laughed easily, acted like they belonged. They didn't know the storm was already inside the house. We sat around the living room after dinner, sharing stories, gossiping, picking at leftovers. That's when I stood up and said, "Tasha, quick question." She looked up, mouth still half full. "Yeah." "What were you doing last week with that cardboard box in our kitchen? The one from the ginger ale case?" The room fell quiet. Tasha blinked, swallowed hard. "Oh, I was helping your mom spray paint some picture frames." I nodded. "Right." Then I walked out of the room, calmly retrieved my backpack, and came back. I set it on the coffee table, unzipped it, pulled out the broken safe, and set it down with a dull thud. The room froze. "Tasha," I said, "do you know what this is?" She stared at it like it might explode. I turned to Simone next. "You definitely know what this is." Her eyes narrowed, lips tightening. That smug control she always wore slipped just a little. Then I opened the folder of photos. I began to speak, not loudly, not dramatically, just clearly. Step by step, I walked everyone through what they did. And no one said a word. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't need to. I stood there in the middle of my aunt's living room, with the broken safe at my feet and the evidence in my hands. And for the first time in a long time, I wasn't afraid of how they'd react. I was in control. "This," I said, holding up a photo, "is a picture of the safe I kept in my room, hidden. It contained over $12,000 in cash I earned working part-time and cleaning houses." I looked around the room. No one was talking anymore, not even the kids. This is what that safe looked like before it was broken open and dumped in our garage bin, wrapped in this exact cardboard box. I turned toward Tasha. "The same cardboard I saw you holding when you walked into the backyard last week?" Tasha opened her mouth, then shut it again. Her mom, my aunt, was staring at her, stone-faced. Then I held up the next photo. "These are the bills I saved, every one of them folded at the top right corner, every serial number documented." I flipped to the next photo. "And these," I paused, turning slowly to face Simone, "are the exact same bills I found in your wallet and in Mom's." Simone scoffed, a little too fast. "You went through my wallet." I raised an eyebrow. "You broke into my safe." My mom sat frozen. I could see the storm building behind her eyes. Not shame, but anger. She hated being caught, hated being embarrassed, but she knew she couldn't lie her way out of this. I pulled out both their wallets. I had brought them with me, zipped inside my backpack, and opened them in front of the entire room. This one had 5 bills that matched mine exactly, bent corners, identical serials. I looked at Simone. Yours. Don't touch my stuff, she snapped, reaching for it. I stepped back. I don't need to, I said calmly. I've already documented everything. My aunt stood up. Tasha, she said slowly, you were part of this. Tasha stammered. I didn't know what it was. I thought it was some old junk. You carried it, I said. You handed it to them. And you didn't say anything when it disappeared. That's complicity. Tasha's mom looked like she'd been slapped. Her face flushed red. I cannot believe this. You stole from family? I didn't steal anything, Tasha cried. My aunt turned to Simone and my mom. Tell me this isn't true. Simone's voice dropped into that cold, rehearsed register she always used when she was losing ground. This is ridiculous. Maya's making a huge deal out of this. We didn't steal anything. She lives in our house. No, I cut her off. I pay rent. I buy my own groceries. I clean up after both of you. And that money, it wasn't yours. You broke into my things. You took what wasn't yours repeatedly. My mom finally stood up. You're humiliating us, she hissed. No, I said, locking eyes with her. You humiliated yourselves. The silence was thick, tense. My uncle was standing now, too, arms crossed, watching like a judge waiting for the final statement. So I gave it. I have enough evidence here to go to the police. That's what I came to say. But I'm giving you 30 days, 30, to pay me back, or I will file a report. Simone snorted. You'd call the cops on your own family? Family doesn't steal from you and lie about it, I replied. Then I looked around the room, my voice clear and steady. And just so we're clear, I'm moving out, effective immediately. I've already packed, I just came tonight, to return your things, and give you this final chance. I reached into my folder and handed Simone her wallet, my mom's too, and then I turned to my aunt. I'm sorry to bring this to your home, I said gently, but I couldn't let them keep doing this to me in the dark, not anymore. She blinked fast, clearly holding back tears. Don't apologize, Maya. You did the right thing. I nodded, then I picked up my backpack, zipped it shut, and walked toward the front door. Behind me, voices exploded. Tasha's mom yelling, Simone cursing under her breath, my mom calling my name like she suddenly wanted to talk. But I didn't stop. For the first time in that house, in any house, I felt like I could finally breathe. The next day, I woke up in my best friend's basement, on a small fold-out couch, wrapped in a blanket I hadn't used since high school. It should have felt like a step down. But all I felt was relief. There were no slammed doors, no passive-aggressive comments from the hallway, no pretending to be invisible in a house that used me like furniture. Just quiet, honest quiet. My phone was full of missed calls. 10 from my mom, 4 from Simone, 2 from an unknown number I recognized as Tasha's. I didn't answer any of them. Instead, I called my aunt, the one who hosted the dinner. She picked up on the first ring. Maya, she breathed, thank you. I didn't expect that. She told me she had spoken to my mom and Simone that morning, that neither of them admitted anything outright, but neither of them could explain how my marked money ended up in their wallets. Simone, she said, had tried to cry. My mom had played the victim, but no one believed them anymore. Then came the part that made my chest ache, not from pain, but from something like closure. My aunt had decided to give me the money herself, every last cent of what they owed me. She said it wasn't fair for me to carry the weight of deciding whether to press charges. She didn't want to see me put through more stress, so she wrote a contract, one that stated she had covered their debt, and that if they didn't pay her back, she would pursue legal action. She was serious, focused, no drama, just a woman protecting someone who deserved better. It almost made me cry. Then she told me something else. Tasha's mom had completely lost it after we left. She'd taken Tasha's iPad, Switch, even her designer shoes, all being sold to help repay the debt. Tasha was going to be working weekends for the rest of the month. Community hours, no outings, no phone. I didn't feel bad, because none of them ever felt bad for me. None of them cared when I came home exhausted and found my money missing. None of them thought twice about violating my privacy, about stealing from someone they called family. But now the shame was theirs to carry. I ended the call feeling lighter than I had in years. And later that day, I added a new lock to my bedroom door, a thick chain bolted into the frame, not because I planned to move back, but because even if I had to step foot in that house again, they would never access my space the same way. I wasn't a child anymore. I was done giving people the benefit of the doubt when they showed me, over and over, who they really were. I didn't expect the basement to feel like home. The walls were bare, the mattress was thin, the air smelled faintly of detergent and old paint. But in that quiet, unfinished space, I felt more grounded than I ever had in my mother's house. No eyes watching me, no one expecting me to clean up after them or pretend not to notice when my things went missing. Just me and peace. My friend's parents offered to let me stay as long as I needed. They refused rent. I offered to pay anyway. They said, "Bake us a cake once in a while and we'll call it even." So I baked chocolate cupcakes, a lemon layer cake with fresh icing. The kitchen smelled like comfort, like something new. On Monday morning, I opened a bank account. A real one, with a credit card, paperless statements, passwords no one knew. I deposited every dollar my aunt had returned to me. Watching that total appear on the screen felt like reclaiming a piece of myself. $12,000, not just money, power. I walked out of that bank feeling untouchable. A few days later, I saw Simone's name light up on my phone again. No voicemail, just a missed call. I didn't return it. I didn't need to. Her silence said more than she ever had with words. Word spread fast through the family. Some called me dramatic. Others called me brave. I didn't care. What mattered was this. They couldn't lie anymore. Not with the whole truth laid bare. They thought I would shrink. Instead, I took up space. They thought I would beg for peace. Instead, I claimed justice. They thought they could make me feel small. Instead, I left without a single tear. One afternoon, as I was folding laundry in the basement, my friend came downstairs and said, "You're glowing, you know." I laughed. "I'm just clean." But I wasn't just clean. I was free. Not because I exposed them, but because I chose myself. If you've ever been betrayed by the people closest to you, you're not alone. Drop a comment below if you've had to choose peace over family. And if this story hit a nerve, go ahead and hit that like button. Because sometimes the quiet ones, we hit back harder than anyone expects.